Hey everybody, welcome back to the Convo Couch. I'm here with Martina, who is a volunteer for Jen Perlman. Hi Martina.
Hi guys.
So let's go over what actually happened. So to a lot of people that don't know, Martina was attacked by Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Can you recap what actually happened?
So pretty much I was out at the polls, poll working with another Jen Perlman volunteer, and at one point Jen showed up. Tensions were a little bit high because Debbie Wasserman Schultz was as well there. But then when Jen and Peter of course being Jen's campaign manager, left, Debbie became more aggressive and assertive toward me. And that's when the pushing and shoving really began, was when Jen left. The other person I was working with was a white male, and he was instigating a lot of Debbie voters to vote pro-Jen. And I think that's where the issue really began, because Debbie felt threatened in that moment. However, I was not talking to Debbie voters because I did not want to instigate, knowing her background with harassing people. And so I only was talking to undecided voters. At a certain point, she caught on that I was not paying attention to her, and she started, catapulting and coming back to me and chasing after me. And that was when I realized that it's not just a bump, like it's definitely her instigating and her shoving me. Like, the first time you think, okay, like it's an accident, you never want to think the worst thing of an opponent and accuse somebody of something like so strong, I'd say, like a strong charge, a strong accusation. But she did put her hands on me more than once and continued to shove me. The part where it really got intense was when these two pro-Debbie voters came in, and another man. They were a group of three. They came in, and they were pro-Debbie voters except for one undecided voter, and said undecided voter began talking to me. He was wearing an LGBT t-shirt, so I just started talking to him about how I was LGBT and how Jen was for the LGBT community. And that's when Debbie shoved me the hardest time. And at this point, I didn't fall, but I did lose my balance, and I stumbled back a couple feet to the point where on my right, like 5 feet to my right, was the other white Jen campaign volunteer and the Debbie voters. And he was instigating them while I was telling him, like, we should go, like, this is getting a bit tense. But he kept instigating, and at that point, the pro-Debbie voters started challenging me on my environmental knowledge because I am a climate activist. And that's when I exposed Debbie, telling them that Debbie was not endorsed by any of the youth climate leaders or activists in the area, and that she was running her whole campaign based off environmentalism. Then again, she shoved me some more. They all started laughing, and while she was walking away, I told them that, well, Jen simply is for things that Debbie isn't. And that's it. I just left it at that. And then Debbie turned around and started calling me factless and liar and just all these different types of names. And it was in front of everybody too. There's multiple witnesses.
Yeah, so that sounds really awful, and I'm sorry you had to go through with that. But also, how old are you, by the way?
I'm 16.
You're 16 years old. Okay, so that's a minor. Did you file any complaints against what happened?
Yeah, so basically I filed a statement report, which means that for now there is no prosecution, there are no charges. However, this morning I woke up and the first thing I saw on Twitter was actually an email from info@sallycrone.com, I believe. It was definitely a business email since it comes with the info at. And it basically said extremely derogatory racial slurs, telling me that I opened a can of worms and that this is gonna get really deep for me. So of course, I just kind of laughed and said that's really ridiculous that they would send Jen this to try to intimidate me. Came to my polling station this morning and Debbie was here.
And then she left, right, when she saw you?
Yeah, she stayed here for a little bit, and she wouldn't come near me, of course. She would always walk the other direction. And when she first got here, she kind of stayed in her car for a good 15 minutes deciding what to do. Then one of our leader volunteers came to drop some things off, and he confronted her about seeing two people wearing black t-shirts on the highway taking off Jen Perlman signs and putting Debbie Wasserman Schultz signs.
So that's also what they were doing, taking out your signs, the Jen Perlman signs, and putting theirs?
Yeah, they were doing that, and they've been doing that all morning. Actually, at this exact polling station, Anthony came at 5 a.m. and left about 5 signs, nothing too extreme to always make it a fair competition. When one of our other volunteers came, he told Anthony that there was no more signs left and that there was about 20 Debbie signs.
So why are you, who are so young, volunteering and voting for Jen Perlman?
We're voting for Jen Perlman because Jen Perlman gives us courage to go up against people like Debbie Wasserman Schultz. If Jen wasn't my candidate, I would have never filed that police report, because at the end of the day, what I'm looking for with that police report is public acknowledgement from Debbie that she made a mistake, but she's never been able to comprehend the fact that she has to acknowledge and, see the consequences of her actions, and she still refuses to. I could have at least gotten a private apology, didn't even get that.
And what do you think politicians need to do to get the younger voters out to vote? A lot of your generation doesn't vote.
I think one of the biggest things that politicians need to do is actually care about our futures. The reason why Debbie has no youth support is because she literally puts out legislation that goes against climate reform while also advocating, saying that she's for the environment, and therefore creating a paradox that the youth simply isn't going to accept. And that's why she's getting called out, and that's why it's going viral. That's why Debbie must go.
Thank you, Martina.
Thank you, guys.